check that out. All right, so we are recording. We do have a couple of sponsors for today's event. So Reach King County is our event sponsor, and our partner in all of the We Got This Washington event series is Business Health Trust. So thank you very much to both of them for their support. So let's get into the presentation. Hopefully most of you, all of you, either watched live or watched the recording of our part 1 de-escalation series. So you're already a little familiar with Andy, but I'll introduce him again. He's the founder of Crisis Intervention Partners, a fellow with the National Anger Management Association, and author of the Crisis Intervention Certification Handbook. So he provides training, services, presentations on de-escalation to all sorts of professions. And he's here today to talk to us again about de-escalation. He's going to run through a quick review of some items from the first one. And then my colleague Jillian from the chamber here is going to join him, and they're going to do some acting. So Andy will be the business employee. Jillian will be a customer who is escalating a situation, and Andy is going to show and talk through so you can really hear the dialogue of some examples of how to de-escalate that situation. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Andy.
Thank you so much, Jillian, and thank you, Lee, and thank you to the Chamber for asking me to come back and offer some additional thoughts and practical value to the first webinar. And thank you to so many of you who have chosen to come back, who have shown some interest in wanting to address and improve some of these interpersonal interactions around these very important life-altering structures that are now things that we're all living with. We're living with COVID safety requirements and coming into contact with them at various intersections of our lives. And as I mentioned in the first webinar, however passionately or dispassionately one feels about them is not central to our discussion. What's central to our discussion is the moment of the interpersonal interaction about them when things result in conflict. And there have been across the United States and the world a number of very unsettling expressions of conflict around how these issues are languaged in our places of business and in other environments. This kind of conversation that all of us are going to have today is not specific to places of business. It's happening in hospitals. It's happening in community public service environments. It's happening everywhere. And my interest in today's webinar is to confer to you who are here a way to navigate some of these moments of conflict in such a way where we're able to not only communicate effectively, but as much as practicable, connect, or as Krishnamurti would say, commune, right? There's communication and then there's communing. In the moment, we want to commune with someone about this interaction where we have these structures. This is not about you and me. This is about something much bigger. How do we solve this problem in the moment? We have in this webinar series a way to go about that. That is a product of a great deal of effort and coordination and testing with a number of people in a number of environments that can lend some value and meaning and structure to how to do that, particularly to people, new people who have never had to engage something like this. So I feel very privileged to be able to be here. I'm going to quickly review two core ideas that I want to share with you before Jillian and I get into the role play. And again, I'm going to demonstrate, and Jillian is going to present what we would refer to as a biased scenario. And what I mean by that is this is a virtual environment that is not identical to what the employee and the customer are going to go through together in your place of business. So one may look at the interactions between Jillian and I and say, well, that's not real. It wouldn't go down that way in my place of business. And what we're doing is not designed to reproduce the way these things play out. There's way too much diversity. What we're interested in presenting to you are takeaways that you can apply to these situations regarding masks and vaccine verification in a sequenced and thoughtful way, as opposed to a vague way, with some concrete instructions on what to avoid. So before I turn the screen share on so I can review two slides with you quickly, there are some things I'd like you to remember when we get to the demonstration. There are some fundamentals. One fundamental is I need you to, or you need to statements will not be part of the demonstration, because it has been our experience through analysis of the research and anecdotal interactions under life-threatening situations that those statements, generally speaking, make things worse than better. It's habituated language. People, myself included, say, I need you to and you need to statements all the time. It takes discipline to eradicate them from crisis communication. You'll see that in the interactions I engage in with Jillian, those will not be there. I'm going to share the screen now and share two ideas with you. Hopefully everybody can see this.
Yep, looks good.
Great. This is a 4-step idea and verbal sequence that can bring structure to a situation where someone's threat circuitry or limbic brain activity is stimulated because they are presented with an activity demand, which is, remember the setup for this interaction. We're going through this in the context of de-escalation because the store employee is going to engage in an activity demand. An activity demand is a term that we use in social psychology, social learning theory, particularly, to describe when we have to get someone to do something that they don't want to do. That condition has been identified in research around violence and assault to precede assault more than any other condition, along with two others. Getting someone to do something they don't want to do, getting someone to stop doing something they want to keep doing, and having to say no are three conditions that can precede assault more frequently than any other three. So we're about to engage someone who's obviously in the place of business. This is why we're here in this webinar, because they don't want to wear a mask or they don't want to produce vaccine verification. Doesn't matter where you fall on the issue. We want to manage that conversation as two human beings in a situation that is beyond the interpersonal interaction of the two of them. The structures around COVID safety are much, much bigger than a business employee and a person who doesn't want to wear a mask. Here are the 4 steps. We undertake these interactions seriously. And if one, for example, feels very strongly when they observe someone come into the establishment without a mask. Please, when we go through the exercise of talking to that person to share what we need to share, do your best to ensure that that worldview that you may maintain does not come through your affect or presentation as judgment. It will make your job harder. Try to meet the moment as if it were new. And in whatever way you can, between these kinds of interactions, think about your own thinking about that. I think that's time well spent. The first thing we do when we come into contact with someone is we issue a validation statement. This is a statement that ranges anywhere from listening and observing all the way to radical genuineness. It is a statement that confers that the person is seen, that the person is heard, and that the person is understood, or we wish to understand them. What we're doing in that moment neurobiologically is attempting to stimulate diversity of thought and expression, which resides in the higher cortical functions of the evolved brain. The second thing we do is we refer to a policy, law, rule, or shared value. This is another action towards stimulating diversity of thought, diversity of expression in the evolved brain anatomically. We do this because we need to reframe the interaction in the moment. When a situation is escalating and a person is in crisis and a person is presenting anger, aggression, we know that their limbic system is active and their diversity of thought or expression is limited. And as a result, their worldview at the moment is you versus me. We have to reframe that. So when we show up and recognize and acknowledge and witness that person with a validation, good afternoon. Thank you for coming in today. I see that you're not wearing a mask. That's validation. Now, this person is already tipped off, more than likely because of our sensitivity to this now, that I have to address the fact that they're not wearing a mask. And they knew coming in very frequently that they weren't going to wear one, that they were looking for this interaction. We want to take the steam out of the fight. There's a rule in our place of business regarding donning masks in order to conduct business. Jillian and I, and Jillian, it's so wonderful. Just a quick additional thought. The team at Seattle Chamber, they're very smart people, and they wanted to make more meaningful the content of the webinar, particularly regarding some of the feedback that you as the membership provided to the chamber about options. How do we deal with the rules? We don't know exactly what to do all the time. Jillian's got this tied up like a magnificent bow on a Christmas present. I look forward to the demonstration period with Jillian. We refer to a policy, law, rule, or shared value to reframe the interaction. It's not about you and me. It's about you and a shared value system. It's about us and a law. We propose a choice, an alternative, a course of action. We do that because when the limbic system is active, diversity or thought and expression is reduced. The likelihood of them conceiving of the alternative on their own is not as present as it would be if they were in a completely regulated state. And then finally, we describe how it serves them. We describe that so that they can get their unmet need met. What's happening at the point of escalation or conflict is an unmet need is not getting met. This will be our blueprint as we go through the demonstration. One more technique I want to talk about. Let's go to the bottom of this slide, called the negative prompt followed by the positive prompt. There are times when we have to articulate a negative set of consequences should an undesirable or inappropriate behavior continue to be proffered. Whenever we have to describe a negative set of consequences, we always follow it with a description of a desirable outcome or desirable consequences. If I have to tell someone that the following things are probably going to happen that could be not appreciated, not constructive, unpleasant, if I have to do that, every time I do it, I'm following it with a description of what we would like them to do instead, what will assist them in getting their need met. There are neurobiological reasons why this works more effectively than inverting the two. So with that, we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to get right into these things to maximize the value of our time together. So Jillian, if it's no trouble, I'm going to ask you to, there she is. So we have a formula we'd like to present with you today. You all have places of business that may have different rules around alternatives and what alternatives can be provided. I'm here to offer value in how the conversation occurs. Jillian is here to help with some of the very concrete alternatives that me as a student of behavior has resulted in me really not paying attention to what the rules of the businesses are. Jillian is the expert at that. The Chamber of Commerce are the experts with you, the membership, in those things. So I'm going to provide a formula for how this can work. And if people are interested in ways to adapt rules to the formula, that's what Jillian's here for. Does that sound like a fair description, Jillian?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have a number of prescribed scenarios. That's a product of feedback from you, the membership, different kinds of situations. I'm going to describe the situation up until there's heat. I'm going to describe what the interaction looked like rather than acting it out up until there's conflict. The demonstration will begin at the conflict. So there's been some kind of initial contact about mask or vaccine verification. There's been some back and forth. I'm going to describe what that looks like in a variety of settings. And then Jillian and I will start in character at the point of conflict. I'm going to run the procedure with Jillian, and then Jillian and I will debrief each incident in front of you, where she'll feed back what the procedure felt like as she was in character. Because remember, when we present or try to conjure or manufacture crisis, there are things happening in us physiologically, anatomically, that resemble true crisis. So she can provide some very genuine feedback about how it felt when I offered her some structure to manage the crisis she was experiencing when the initial activity demand was presented. I hope that that's clear. I'm working pretty hard to try to make it as concrete as possible. So with that, Jillian, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it. So the first scenario is called general refusal to wear a mask. General refusal to wear a mask. Here is the interaction that just occurred. Hi, would you please put your mask on while you're in our store today? No, excuse me. Hi, please put your mask on while you're in our store today. Jillian would say, I don't have one. We have a stack at the door. I'd be happy to get you one. I can't wear them. They're too uncomfortable. In that case, you won't be able to stay in the store, but I can bring your order to you at the curbside. With that, Jillian is going to escalate. We're going to start now. Before we get started, you're going to see me use my hand when I'm talking. When I'm giving an I, that's the first thumb. When I'm giving an R, that's my first finger. When I'm giving the P, that's my third finger. When I'm giving the D, that's my fourth finger. You'll see me doing this as I'm rolling a procedure. That's what I want you to know I'm doing as I'm speaking. This is not part of what we're recommending people do. This is meant for this environment here, so you can see the IRPD as I'm speaking to Jillian, okay? All right, Jillian, go.
What does your name tag say? Andy. Andy, hi. I made this reservation a month ago. This is a special event. We don't have a mask. It's uncomfortable. Just let it in. Let us in. We're going to get to take it off at the table anyway. So please just let us in.
Jillian, I completely appreciate your frustration, and I completely appreciate that what you have proposed appears to be a very concrete and easy solution to accommodate. The COVID safety regulations around our business and what my responsibilities are as an employee are to lay out what the conditions under which we do business. If you'd be kind enough to either go to the curbside or wear the mask, we'll be able to get your need either way you choose. That way you'll be able to take advantage of what we have to offer.
So what we're supposed to have this great birthday dinner curbside in the rain, pouring down rain in Seattle. That's not going to work, Andy. What do we
Yeah.
have you do?
Yeah, I get that. And it sounds like if you had known that this were the case beforehand, you might not have coordinated this event
Okay, I'm
to
in.
occur.
Hello?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
that was our
Hi,
Cantonese
Ashina.
interpreter has joined us. Midori, I'm going to add you
Yeah,
to
thank
the room
you.
right now.
Okay.
Okay, I hang up, okay? Yeah. Thank you.
Lee, can we mute her, please? Thank you. If you had known that this was going to be the condition, you might have made other arrangements, and I completely appreciated it. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding that, we would be unable to make the adjustment that you've proposed as the solution based on the regulations. I'm absolutely willing to go to the manager and look at some possibilities where maybe we can set up a tent with a propane heater outside. Maybe in that way, you'll still be able to enjoy the party and get your needs met, and we can continue to do the service that we had originally planned for you. Would that work?
Let me check and see. Everybody's got coats. Yep. Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, we're going to King's X there because we have 5 more to go through. Jillian, how did that feel? And what are your thoughts on the practicalities of the method in relationship to what we just demonstrated?
How it felt, if I had been angrier and more more wanting to, I would have interrupted you more, Andy. So as we were trying to work through the 1, 2, 3, 4, I worry that somebody who was really heated would just be cutting you off constantly.
That's fine. Let's do that on the next one. You, by all means, feel free to ramp it up, because we do this in front of people who want to engage in violence. So you're being very lightweight as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, excellent. And I absolutely loved the curbside offer, the offer of, hey, we do have some space outside. We can put up a little pop-up tent. We've got a couple heaters. We can bring it together. So great accommodations, and accommodation is going to be kind of the word of the day for ideas for how we can accommodate the customer and not lose their business, and kind of make it a win-win, de-escalate the scenario and make it a win-win. So just want to encourage everybody on the call today, if you have additional ideas to accommodate a customer in these scenarios, please share them. That's what we're here to do, and we want to hear your ideas.
That's great feedback. And what I hope folks saw in that example, and we're going to do many, many more. If I get blown up and Jillian interrupts me, where do you think I'm going to start over? I could get through P and she stops me. I'm going to start over right again. I'm doing it this way in this webinar to confer commitment to a foundation. I'm not saying that that's the way we talk all the time. I'm simply saying in crisis, in conflict, we want to bring order to chaos, and you're going to see a fundamental commitment to that approach, which really, in our experience, grinds resistance down. So on the next occasion, Jillian, and go organic with it, feel free, even if I make a mistake and I say a trigger word for you, start coming at me and watch how I'm gonna get out of the way. I'm not interested in leveling an agenda. I'm not interested in making you a convert. I'm interested in navigating this conflict so that we arrive at a following understanding. I hear you and see you and understand you. There's a structure developing in our society that's bigger than you and me. Let's find a way to move through this together. It may ultimately mean that you leave, but at least this is being done in a way where peace and respect is prioritized. Next, this scenario is called won't show proof of vaccination. Here is the dialogue that occurred before the conflict. Hi, welcome, come in. May I check your vaccine card, please? No. Do you have a negative COVID test instead? No. And it's against HIPAA for you to even ask to see my medical history. Okay. So don't know the environment here. Jillian, what environment you think we're in here?
Let's do bowling alley.
Okay. So we're in a bowling alley. You have, I imagine, a group of folks. I'm up at the counter. I'm spraying the shoes. I'm running the register. I'm giving people pop. I'm assigning lanes. And I do this business where we have this interaction. Hi, can I see your vaccination verification? No. Do you have a negative COVID test proof to show me? No. And it's against HIPAA. Go.
I have been here for league night on Friday nights every year for the past 10 years. And you're going to tell me you're not going to let me bowl on league night?
Jillian, you know, I know you've been here for 10 years, and I'm very grateful that you've been coming here for 10 years and supporting our bowling alley. It's great to have you here for league night. And all of us have been having to navigate these changing times together. COVID safety requirements for all businesses here in the area necessitate that we ask these things. And
the law is the law is law. I hear that. 10 years. I have been here for 10 years. Me, my buddies, this is what we do. This is our thing. We have been in lockdown now for almost, I mean, we're going to go on 3 years here. And when does it stop? It stops right now. It stops with us.
Julian, I get it. I get it. And you're not the first person to express frustration about it. I certainly have expressed frustration about the change and know what that feels like. I get it.
Frustrated. You're going to lose our business. We have been here every Friday night for 10 years. I do a huge tournament with you guys every Thanksgiving. And now, like, what are we going to do?
Yeah. Julian, I don't,
and we're going to take it to another county where there isn't this vaccine verification.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And I really don't want that to happen, to be honest. So let me share some thoughts with you. You have been coming here for 10 years. We've made a relationship with you and many, many other people. And these COVID safety measures are now here to attend to the safety of human beings. And all of these businesses in the area have to get into the business of language in this.
Most people just get sick and recover. Most people do.
I hear you. I do hear you, Jillian. I'm a bowling alley. So let me share with you what I think we can do here. I know it's frustrating to you. We have these new measures in place. You've made clear that you don't want to produce either of those things, and the requirements present us as businesses with certain consequences if they're not upheld, which could affect our ability to even be here at all. So
yeah, $250 if you're caught. Like, I will pay you the $250 to have our tournament here in profits. Like,
yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Accepting money for a fee to pay a penalty would be something that our business would probably have ethical concerns about. That being said, we would like to move forward honoring the COVID safety as much as we practically can. If you are to go down the road and get a negative test result on a rapid test from the Walgreens, you'll be able to come back here within the next hour and still participate in 70% of the league night. I mean, we know that you're not going to do vaccine verification in that time. So if you produce a negative COVID test within this very short period of time, and they're doing them right there, if you do that, you'll be able to come in here and I will accommodate your position in the league frames so that you'll be able to enjoy the rest of the night bowling.
But even if I do that, there's 4 of us in the group, and we're gonna have to do that every single Friday to maintain our league night. Plus, with the tournament, because this is so political, I'm not gonna be able to get everybody to come back and do a negative test. They're just not gonna stand for it.
Well, I hear you talking about the future. I'm talking about right now. We have these current measures in place. If you go get that test, you could be bowling 10 minutes from now, 15 minutes from now. And then we can deal with later. What do you say?
Well, not today, Andy. Maybe next Friday, but the tournament's probably.
I hope you do, Jillian. I hope you do. Come with negative test proof, in which case you'll be able to enjoy the bowling and we'll be able to enjoy your business. And thank you for understanding. I mean, I appreciate it.
I don't know that I understand, Andy, but
right.
We go back a long.
Okay, King's X, we're going to stop it there. All right, how did that feel, Jillian? What am I doing as you continue to present resistance? What does it feel like when I follow a prescribed approach?
Well, it definitely feels prescribed, but I kind of get to a point where I expect what you're going to say to me. So I'm not going to get angrier about it because I'm going to be angry the first, maybe second time that I hear it.
Are you angry at me? In other words, the real interesting question is, are you feeling hostility toward me when you hear me saying what I'm saying?
Honestly, I'm not angry at you. My brain is spinning through all the things like that I have to do. Like when you said go across the street to Walmart, then my head starts going to like, oh, so now I have to do X, Y, Z, and I'm thinking about the tournament and how I would reschedule everything. And that kind of overwhelm was what was feeling in that moment.
Well, the good news about that is when I propose a choice and describe a desirable outcome, I'm doing so neurobiologically, so you stop and think. Where does that happen? That happens in the evolved brain, diversity of thought, diversity of expression. You would not be considering those things if I didn't prompt you to think about them. All you'd be is pissed at me for not letting you come bowl. That's why this works as well as it does. Well done. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go to a gym scenario. And you know what? Let's ramp this one up because I want to give you a negative prompt followed by a positive prompt. So say or do something, Jillian, that's going to necessitate that I have to set a limit about something.
Oh.
Okay. So you could start cursing at me or whatever you want. But I know that that's not you to curse. But you can use a letter to infer the word. Okay. Or something like that.
That's planned.
Or you could say something very directed at me, like I'm going to key your car or something like that. Okay. All right. So here's the interaction, folks. Front desk staff at the gym. Hi, welcome in. Thanks for showing proof of vaccination. You're all set for your spin class. Patron. I actually have a note from my doctor that I don't need to wear a mask during the exercise class. Front desk staff reiterates the policy that all patrons must wear a mask during the class for the safety of other guests. Does that sound like the gym one we're going to do? Because there's 2 gym ones here. We could do, I think this one's pretty simple. Oh, but let's throw these in. Let's throw these in for ideas. Okay. So there's that. You've already paid for the class. I'm telling you, you can't attend. That's what you're deriving out of this because you've indicated that you don't need to wear a mask during the class and you have a doctor's note for that.
Is it mask or vaccine verification? Just remind me, please.
We're going to do, let's do both. Let's do this one and let's do vax verification. So here's gym 1, folks. Gym 1 is this. Thanks for showing your proof of vaccination. You're all set for your spin class. Jillian says, I got a note from my doctor that says I don't need to wear a mask during the class. Front desk staff reiterates the policy that all patrons must wear a mask during the class for safety or other guests. That just happened. I just said that to you. Go.
Wait, but I've paid online, and nothing in the checkout process said that I had to show proof of vaccination.
Okay, well, King's X, Jillian, in this case, you showed vaccination. Now you don't want to wear the mask. So you're vaccinated. So get into character. There's stuff you can play with here. You've been vaccinated. You don't want to wear the mask. It's still a policy at the gym that people are masked, even if vaccinated, while exercising. You have a doctor's note saying you don't have to wear a mask.
Okay.
Okay. All right, go.
I just showed you on my phone that I'm vaccinated. This is completely stupid. Why? I'm obviously healthy. I'm obviously vaccinated and boosted. I have paid for my spin class. Like, why? Why do I have to have a mask on? I cannot breathe in them. I have a doctor's note. Why?
Jillian, I completely hear you. I can feel your frustration. I get it. And, you know, I have to navigate this with our members.
Fucking my phone at you. Like this, I have been on lockdown for 2, now going on 3 years. This is my first spin class back in your business for the first time in almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Like I'm done. I'm done with all of it.
Yeah. Jillian, I hear you. I hear that you're done. I hear that you're done with all of it. I can tell that you're angry. I know that you are, and we want your business. These COVID safety measures, particularly.
Well, you have my business. I've already paid. So if I walk out, you already have my money, right? So
well, Jillian, yeah, our interest here is in you having a satisfying experience. We do have your money, and it sounds like you weren't clear about the fact that even if you're vaccinated, the COVID safety measures in this particular location necessitate that masks are donned while engaging in the activity. I appreciate that you have a doctor's note. What I can do, Jillian, the first thing I can do is I can go to our manager here upon the production of a doctor's note and see if an accommodation can be made because you have medical verification that a physician has identified that you can't wear a mask. Maybe in that way.
Yes, Andy, I hear you. Please bring the manager.
Okay, now let's stretch this. Okay, I'm not saying this is even real. Let's just see where it goes. Let's say I leave. I tell the manager. He says no. Now I got to come back. Okay, let's start from there. All right. Some of you watching may say this isn't practical. This is not what would happen. That's not the point. Watch how we interact. Watch how I try to lead Jillian in this. Okay. Hey, Jillian, so I spoke to the manager and I completely appreciate the idea that you proposed.
There for like 10 minutes. Where's the manager?
The policy requires that masks are worn in the environment when exercising with others around. Now I have
my time. You wasted my time to come back and tell me the exact same thing. Your manager doesn't have the guts to even come down here. So I want my refund. I'm going to leave. Yeah.
Jillian, I completely hear you in your frustration. I have something for you to consider in relationship to these COVID safety measures.
Better include a refund.
What my manager did say is that we have an area of the gym that's been allocated for folks who have been vaccinated, who have medical clearance to not wear a mask, but it's away from the general pop of the people here in the gym. It's in a side room where we can give you a spin device there. You can do the
all of the people with health conditions in a room. That seems awful.
It's your own room, Jillian. You are someone who's vaccinated and you have medical clearance to not have to wear a mask. So that we remain compliant with the policy, what I can absolutely do here is take one of the spin devices and move it into this room where you'll be able to enjoy it, get the value for your fee, and you'll be able to do your workout. I'm sorry?
Instructor.
I'm sorry. One more time, Jillian.
How will I hear the instructor, Andy?
Oh, the instructor's voice is piped into the room with a microphone and a speaker, and you just won't be able to see them, but you will be able to hear them.
Okay, well, let's go, because I mean, I'm 15 minutes late already.
Great,
so.
let's do it. Okay, King's X. I don't even know how practical those recommendations were, But what's important here is I'm not getting into the fight with Jillian about this. I'm validating her frustration and her anger. I'm proposing to the COVID safety measures that are in place that businesses must abide by. I'm proposing a choice and describing how it serves them. They can tell me to F off. Most of the time, when our investment in the other human being is completely selfless, expressed through this method, very often, if there is an F off, folks come back around and apologize because it ain't about me. Jillian's issue is not with me, even as much as I'm managing that communication in the moment. Jillian, how did that one feel to you?
That one was good. I was really trying hard to make it feel like I was gonna fling my phone at you at any moment.
Yeah,
but
I didn't catch that in the audio. So here's how I would have managed the throw the phone thing. If you were, let's say you were like, you're going to get this phone. If you were to do that, here's the negative prompt followed by positive prompt. So go ahead and put it up like you're going to throw it at me. Okay.
Throw this phone at
Whoa.
you, Andy.
Jillian, if you throw the phone at me, this entire situation could become something that neither of us want. If you put the phone down, let's talk more about how we can problem solve this together. Now, I could say very extreme things with the negative prompt followed by positive prompt. I'll give you some examples of ones that we have set in that format. If you continue to hold the muzzle of that pistol to the victim's head, this event could be resolved in a way where life is going to be lost. If you put the pistol down now, you'll have an opportunity to tell your story. We'll keep you away from the media and we'll get you into a vehicle and get you out of here. If you continue to drop racial slurs in the common area right here, there's going to be a show of support that requires that we move you to an isolated area. But if you engage in safe, more appropriate language right now, you'll have an opportunity to stay. In the extremes, that's very stark. But what I did with the phone was exactly that. If you continue to proffer the phone like you're going to throw it at me, I'm implying that I could call 911. I'm implying that I could call for other staff or set off some kind of internal alarm. But the second thing I said was, if you put it down now, we can continue the conversation. That's the negative followed by positive prompt. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Andy.
Yeah, it's
This is me.
10:50.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can I jump in? We have one question in the Q&A. So if we can talk about this and then maybe you'll have time for another scenario
Sure.
after. So this attendee says they appreciate the system, the IRPD, walking it through every time. But in their business, there's only one person at the front desk. So going back to the I every time takes a lot of time. You're starting to build a lineup behind this individual.
Sure.
So now Jillian is holding up 6 people behind her and you're,
Yeah.
how would you manage that?
That's a great question. And if the event is resulting in systemic impact in the business, the way that this person just described, which is very true, here's what an IRPD might look like for that. Hey, Jillian, I've tried to explain a couple of times now that I understand where you're coming from and that these COVID safety measures are here. There's 18 people behind you and we need to move on with this discussion. If you'd like to be on your way, you're welcome to do that. If you'd like to don the mask, you're welcome to come in and conduct business with us, which we'd love to see you do. Screw you, I ain't going to do it. Thank you, Jillian. I need to move to the next person. Perhaps we can talk about this some other time. No, I'm not going to leave. Jillian, if you could now, Jillian, it would appear that your anger is designed to impact everybody around you. If you continue to act in this manner, I'm the only one here. I'm going to have to call for support and the entire environment's going to be disrupted and draw a lot of visibility to you. However, you can remain angry at this business. I do appreciate that. You can just be angry somewhere else so that I can continue to do my job. And if you do that, I'd appreciate it. That's how, in other words, they don't set the timing. We do. You're seeing me run IRPD over and over because I'm trying to gain collaboration with this person. Under time pressure, you decide what you're going to IRPD. The risk of that, though, I will say this, lots of people police officers, mobile crisis teams, all look at the watch. If you're looking at the watch because this is getting tedious to deal with, check yourself quick, because that's your limbic system online and you're interested in navigating this peacefully and in collaboration. If this person's behavior is becoming instrumental and now they're creating a backup, you adapt the IRPD to that situation. And if you have to, you throw in a negative prompt followed by a positive prompt. And I'll mention this now, I'll put it up in a minute. For anybody who wants to talk about this with me further, or perhaps get some additional assistance in navigating this in your business, call me, send me an email. I'm happy to talk to you about it with you.
And Andy, one of my concerns, perhaps as a business owner or manager in the store by myself, line full of people, I don't want this person to make a scene because okay, so simply that person doesn't come back and I lose their business. Okay, fine. But there's a potential for the other folks who were there that day to be like, whoa, this isn't a safe place. I'm not going to go back there anymore. Or, what do,
Right.
do these people, do they technically in these situations, are they thinking that they're causing a scene? Is that something that excites them more, or do we use that to diffuse?
Well, it depends. I'm going to use some terms now. Okay. So it depends on how characterological that behavior is. There are some people who walk around looking for those kinds of interactions. If you believe that you have one of those people because they're unresponsive to your very selfless manner of recognizing where they are, reminding them about the shared value, proposing a choice and describing how it serves them, and now that it becomes your impression they want to take this interaction and use it to carry out some behavior, you set the agenda by deciding when you want to message how it's going to end. And when you do that, make sure you always articulate it with the negative consequences followed by the positive. I can assure you that the onlooker will experience you following this method in a much more regulated and appreciative way than an employee who was beginning to panic and getting into I need you to and you need to statements. That's going to make people in the environment feel uptight. What's going to make people feel like this guy knows what he's doing is someone who's following this algorithm.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So we're kind of at time. I would love to see if there's any more questions. And if there aren't any more, I'm more than happy to go a couple of minutes over and do one more.
I don't see any other questions yet.
Okay, last call for questions. Okay, let's do one more. And for those of you who, I just want to quickly throw this up for one moment. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this or take a picture with your phone. Here are some resources for you. I'm going to stop share now. Here we go. Okay. Let's go right past the gym. How about you want to do museum, Jillian?
Oh, I'd love to. Yes.
All right, let's do museum. Okay, folks, here is museum. People from out of town, this one is called. Thanks for coming in. Here's what happened. Thanks for coming to the museum today. We're checking vaccination cards for everyone in your party who's 12 or older. Patron from out of town. Why do you need to see that? Museum staff. In accordance with the order from Public Health, Seattle and King County vaccination verification is required for all museums plus restaurants and some other locations. That's ridiculous. We don't have to do that in my state. We traveled all the way here from some state. And now you're telling me we can't even go into any restaurants or museums while that we're here. Go.
I am completely flabbergasted. Is this what your state has come to with the political beliefs that you are literally keeping people out of world-renowned museums? I mean, we brought our entire family here. What are we going to do? Just go home?
You know, Jillian, I wish you knew before coming here what
Yeah, I do too.
King
Why didn't I
County
see it on your
Public
website?
Health. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. I think I would probably feel the same way. You know, you've come all this way and now,
Holiday
yeah.
break to get our kids out to teach them something and enrich their minds while they're not in school. And we might as well just go back to our hometown because there was no reason for us to come to Seattle in the first place.
You know, Jillian, I feel for you. I truly do.
Well, of course you
But-
do because you live here. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I
Real.
will tell you that, listen, the rapidly changing times are affecting everybody, not just folks from out of town. I've lived here all my life, and watching how this situation is impacting lives has been very, very unsettling at times. I get it. And we're living under these rapidly changing measures.
so what can you do to help me today?
So here's an idea that I do have that might be helpful. We do have King's X. Are museums allowed to accept people with negative COVID test result? Okay, good.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to recover. Jillian, I do have an idea. Under our current measures, if someone is unable to produce vaccine verification, they are able to produce negative test result. And in that way, you can get access to the museum. There is XYZ facility immediately down the street that are providing rapid tests. And depending upon insurance, I don't know how the money works.
Day break with my kids is take them over to the clinic for their COVID test just so that they can go to a museum and spend some time in King County while we're here. No,
Jillian,
absolutely not.
that-
That's going to be the story that my kids are going
Jillian,
to tell when they head down.
Yeah, I'm not telling you you have to go get a test. I'm telling you that okay, Sasha. Okay, that's a good one, Sasha. Let me play with this one. So, Jillian, you're right. I am curious. How long are you in town?
We're here probably about 48 hours, and then we're off to another location that will not be in Washington State. Sir.
Okay. So, Jillian, it sounds like while you're here, even if you were to get a PCR test, which is what is required, the results would not be able to come back in a period of time that would enable you access to the museum. And for that, I'm very, very sorry. I do know, however, there are many other places to visit in Seattle that don't have vaccine verification to gain access,
Like
but
what?
masks will be sufficient.
Like
We have
what?
Pike's Place down on the waterfront, which is an absolutely delightful place to visit, with lots of boutiques, lots of stores, lots of city history. In fact, the first Starbucks is down there. There are places here in our city
Can
where
I go in the Starbucks?
you can go into Starbucks with a mask.
Okay.
I actually don't know in Seattle what Starbucks is requiring, but can you guys see what I'm doing here? I think you're getting this by now, right? Here's what she says. I have a problem. Here's what I do. I see your problem. Your problem ain't with me. This problem exists at the shared value level. If you try this thing, maybe this will work. Go F myself. I get it. It looks like you're still angry. The rules haven't really changed much. If you try this thing, maybe that will satisfy you. This is taking too long and you want to throw your phone at me. If you continue to do that, this is not going to work out well for you. But if you do this other thing, here's how it could work out for you. In other words, I'm setting the discourse in a manner that provides this person an experience of choice. I'm setting the tone of how this works because they're already in a state of limbic system activation, and I'm lending through my expression of self-regulation and sequential thinking order to their chaos. Where you fall on the issue is not part of it. If you notice, I'm not advancing the agenda about how important it is that this person do it or not do it. I'm recognizing them where they are. I'm citing the rules purely. I'm proposing a choice, and I'm describing how it serves them. I'm doing this to avoid conflict and maximize collaboration in the moment. All right, 11:02. We've got a little over and some people are starting to drop off. I hope folks got something out of this. I hope that you watched the first one and now you're seeing this carry out in a way that is seeming more similar and applicable to your business environment. If you'd like to discuss it further, please feel free to get in touch with me. We'll talk about it further. Jillian, exceptional job, and great ideas on alternatives. And Lee, thank you so much to you in the chamber. This
you.
was, I'm really glad we got to do this because I wanted folks to see where the rubber hits the road. And we brought the training environment bias out into the open. We know that it's not like your lobby. We know that you're not nose to nose with somebody, but we're bringing that out in the open to raise awareness and give people an opportunity to try these things. You can try IRPD at home. You can try it with your cat. You can try it on yourself. It is sequential thinking and statements. If I said it to myself, Andy, it sounds like you may be concerned that you didn't do a good enough job for the chamber today. The chamber has expressed gratitude to you for delivering the sum total of who you are in the moment. If you just try to recognize that for one moment, you'll probably have a better day. That's like self-IRPD, right? Okay.
That was great. Thank you so much, Andy. I do have to say, I don't think this would work on my cat, but
Cats are
perhaps my
hard.
nieces.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Thank you so much. We have a lot of thank yous here in the chat,
Good.
and kudos to both of you for your acting.
Yes.
We had a question from Susan here. Yes, I will share out the recording from the first webinar again, also with this one, so you can watch the whole thing,
Good.
put together that foundation with these examples. So
Right.
Andy, I really appreciate you coming and sharing with us again. Jillian, thank you for playing along and stretching your acting muscles today. And thank you again to our sponsor, Reach King County, and our event partner, the Business Health Trust. So thanks all for joining us, and have a great day.
Take
Have a
care,
great week.
everyone. Take care. Take good care.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.